Hi, John.
Hey, man.
How are you?
I'm all right, yeah. How are you?
Pretty good. I'm excited to talk to you about your new album, The Fray, today.
Yes. Yeah.
So should we go through the tracks and give everyone a bit of an insight into what you were thinking when you came up with it?
I reckon so. And this is the morning after, the night before, where I played the album out for the first time.
Mm.
A lot of those songs I haven't played in front of anyone before. And I've already experienced this, the process that happens every time releasing a record. As soon as you get on stage, the songs start to change shape and you find a different way into them. And already I've started playing the first track, Friends, on a different guitar. And already I'm thinking, what would it have been like if I'd done that in the studio, instead of recording it on my acoustic? And it just, for some reason, sounds and feels great on this guitar. And I think, that it happens with every song. As soon as you take it on stage, you find a different way of interpreting it. And it's nice that that's already happened. One gig in, and I'm already kind of feeling the songs take on a different life of their own.
So with Friends, the album opener, it's a little bit different to a normal John Smith album opener, arguably. It's a tonic to a kind of the usual introspection, and we're recording this very recently after a year of lockdown. Was that going through your mind when you wrote it?
Well, I wrote the chorus, weirdly, before the pandemic started. I hadn't seen a few of my friends for a while anyway, and that chorus came out, but the rest of the song didn't happen. And then a few months into lockdown, I dug it out and realised I'd written something that was relevant, in that present moment. After lockdown had begun, and I hadn't seen my mates for ages, and I thought, well, I think the verses should become a love letter to my friends, and that's what this song should be about. So it was one of those strange instances of writing a song without really knowing what it's about, and it becomes very relevant later, and that happens sometimes. It's mystifying each time, but that chorus, I won't ever say goodbye, we'll find one another down the line. It felt really relevant, My friend, I won't ever say goodbye, we'll find one another down the line. Though people change, move on to a different place. My friend, I always recognize your face. And then the next thing, the verse, it became just a conversation with a friend, Maybe things went bad, it was time to move on. You find yourself a home, try to right the wrong. Still sometimes you feel like the days are too long. Just know that I am thinking of you, my friend. It's just, picking up the phone to a mate who's been having a hard time and saying, how's it going? Let them know that you love them, kind of thing.
Will your friends ever be part of that songwriting process? Do you ever send ideas to certain friends who maybe, I'm assuming you hang around with various musicians, do you try and keep them out of that process?
Yeah, I'm like a little kid with his toys, guarding them pretty closely until I'm ready to let everyone play with them. I kind of keep it to myself, but I have a couple of friends who aren't musicians, who are my they're kind of good sounding boards for self-indulgence, or dare I say cheesiness, if I'm getting a little bit too fragrant. I sort of say, what do you think of this? Yeah, I'm not sure about that. Oh no, that's all right.
How do you, when you're songwriting, it's an inherently personal experience. How do you cope with any, I wouldn't say criticism, but if anyone ever comes back and says, I'm not sure about that, can you kind of brush it off, or do you take it to heart?
If I can see what they're saying, I'll take it to heart. But otherwise, I won't ask. With this record, I made a conscious decision to sort of get out of my own way. You know, in the past I've been really self-conscious about writing and really maybe have overthought it, and just let that kind of then make me feel insecure about the songs and, you know, examining things way too much. With this, it felt instinctive. The whole process was quite straightforward. I just decided I wasn't going to overthink it. I'd remove myself from, you know, the path of obstacles that is in front of you when you're getting towards a set of songs, and that kind of served me well. I didn't question it too much this time, which is different to before.
And with Friends again being the album opener, when you have those bunch of tracks in front of you that you know will make up the fray, was it an obvious choice to have that as the opener? Do you think about that too much, or did it just feel right, or is it literally just whatever order they come in?
Yeah, the order always comes last. I can't remember what order I wrote the songs in. Friends happened around the middle, but then as soon as I'd written it, I felt, yeah, this has to be the first track on the album, because it says so much of what the record is going to be about. But you don't really know what a record is going to be about until you've written most of the songs. You know, there were a few that I wrote that just didn't fit, and I was convinced they'd be on the record, and then they just didn't belong in the flow of the rest of the songs. The track listing and the dynamic of the record happens, for me, it happens right towards the end. And then there's a whole week of agonizing over playlists. You make all these playlists on your phone and you go for a walk and listen to the structure and the order. And I was so close to putting the fray right at the start of the album. And then weirdly it just kind of found its way back towards the end of the record, and Friends felt like the opener. You know, I had an intro for that song in mind, you know. I was just thinking I'd sit there for a while and go, I thought that'd be a nice way to start a record. And then it came to recording it, and I just went, my friend, I won't ever say goodbye. When we listened back to that, you know, Sam, my co-producer, the great Sam Lakeman, we listened back, my friend, I won't ever, and he just started doing that. But we'll find. So, oh, okay, well, what if we record a few of those? And it was actually Simon Whitehead, our cameraman, who was documenting the session. He's got big, meaty hands, an amazing click. They're like a percussion instrument. And he sat in front of a mic. He's actually criminally uncredited.
He should get PPL income for that.
He should get a fat royalty. Sorry, Simon. I need to sort this out. This is probably an illegal situation. I need to compensate the man. You know, he just sat there and went. It sounded great. Yeah, he really added that snap. And as the song went on, we were bringing in these little bits of percussion. You know, we got to the end, and I got to the end of the guitar take. Always recognize your face. And I listened back to it, and I just started clapping. And then that felt really good. And so that everyone who then recorded, we just got them all to clap. So at the end of it, you've got kind of a studio audience. You know, it feels nice and warm. But it was a good thing, you know, that there was one point where we were listening back to everything we'd done, and we just got everyone to stand around and listen. And the mics were up, and then everyone just started clapping again. I mean, yeah. It's
a very Pavlovian tactic. Kind of get the audience to be part of, like, I've got to applaud this now because everyone else is.
Yeah. The idea was that it set the tone for the rest of the record. It's supposed to be a kind of collaborative effort. I wanted there to be a sort of community spirit through the record, because I couldn't see anyone. Half the people involved in the record are not there. I wanted to feel inclusive, and so the clapping was part of that. Just bringing people together a bit in a time when we couldn't be together.